Hi, I'm Sean Gannon, and this is Minute Math, and today we're learning about how to simplify expressions with roots.
Minute Math, when you need help you use Minute Math.
We have three expressions here that we want to simplify. We have the cube root of negative 125, the fourth root of negative 16, and the fifth root of negative 243. Before, when we had the square root, we said, well, we can't take the square root of a negative number. But when we have other roots, really odd roots that were taken, we can. It's just the even roots that has an issue, and I'll show why in a minute. So the first one here, let's simplify this. The odd root, the third root of negative 125. What number times itself 3 times gives me a 125? That's a question I'm really looking for. Well, let's go look at it. 125 breaks down to be a 5 times a 25. And 25 is a 5 times a 5. So if it was just a positive, right, the positive 125, we would say 5 cubed, right, can give us a 125. But I want a negative 125. Well, what happens if we write negative 5 here? Well, negative 5 cubed is, well, negative 5 times a negative 5 times a negative 5. And this is why the odd ones work. Negative 5 times a negative 5 is a positive 25. But then we multiply that by a negative 5, and we get a negative 125. So it kind of alternates that positive, negative, but we have a negative number to a odd root, or a odd power, excuse me, it's going to be a negative result. So the cube root of negative 125 is a negative 5. Now the second one here, a little more difficult. We have the fourth root. So we ask ourselves, what number to the fourth power gives me 16? And normally I'd break this down here. It'd be 2 and 8, and then 8 is 2 and 4, and 4 is 2 and 2. Well, we know they all can't be positive, right? Because 2 to the fourth power, right, is just a positive 16. I want a negative. But what happens if I put a negative 2 in? The only other option here. Well, that's a negative 2 times a negative 2 times a negative 2 times a negative 2. Just like we did before, a negative times a negative is a positive, right? So we'd have a positive 4, we multiply that out, times a negative 2 times a negative 2. From there, 4 times negative 2 is a negative 8 times a negative 2, and negative 8 times a negative 2 is a positive 16. And so it's really impossible for us to have a negative 16 here. Now later on you'll learn about imaginary numbers, but for right now, we don't have that. And so this answer is no solution. We can't take a square root or an even root, fourth root, sixth root, eighth root, any even root of a negative number. So there we have it, no solution. Now this one being difficult. We can do it, it's an odd root. We can take the odd root of a negative number, and I won't necessarily go through why that works again to the fifth power. So let's go see what number this is. Well, 243, 3 goes into that, and that's 81 times. From there, 81 is a 9 times a 9, and 9 times 9 is a 3 times a 3. If I can write a 3. So how many 3s we have multiplied? 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, a group of 5. So if we have a negative 3 to the fifth power, that equals, right, because we know it alternates, negative, positive, go on through, that becomes a negative 243. And so therefore, the fifth root of negative 243 is a negative 3. So recapping here, if we have an odd root of a negative number, we can do it. If it's an even root of a negative number, we can't do it. I hope you learned something here on how to simplify expressions with roots. If you did, make sure you like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. This helps us make more of these free math lessons for you and for everyone else. So as always, thanks for watching.